Hey, how's it going, everyone? Kalle Beck here in another Strong Talk podcast. Hard to top having Zadrunas Savickas on the week before, but what an amazing experience that was just for me as a fan of the sport to talk to Zadrunas Savickas. And if you haven't listened, go back and listen. It's a very rare occurrence to have such a long-form interview. I really can't think of any where they've asked him specific questions. There's a good training video on a Lithuanian YouTube channel with Zadrunas going over a shoulder workout in the middle of it and talking about training. But it's very informative, but there's not much talking about his whole contest history. And, of course, it's subtitles, so it's a little different in English. But just have to thank Big Z again for taking the time to talk to me, and that was amazing. This week's guest is Chris Vachio. Vachio is a veteran strongman competitor and promoter. He runs, he's the Ohio State Chair for Strongman Corporation, formerly known as NAS, North American Strongman. Just a great guy, funny guy. He also put on the first adaptive strongman competition in North America. So we talk about that and the cool things that Adaptive Strongman is doing coming up, and just some general chit-chat and bullshit in general, and how the story of Fuck Kalle Beck started. It might not be what you think, but I think it's hilarious. Or did we even talk about this? I recorded this a while ago, so I don't even remember. What else is going on in the world of strongman? Of course, go to strongmanprogram.com, sign up for our starting strongman training templates. You'll get workouts that'll help you succeed in the sport or just train like a strongman for $10 a month. And you can get the first month free if you use the code STRONGTALK at checkout, strongmanprogram.com. Then that price and this offer is going to be gone by January 31st, and the price will go up to $15 a month. But if you sign up now, you will lock in that $10 a month for life. And of course, the first month is free with the code STRONGTALK, because I thank everyone for listening to this podcast. Also, Figure 8 straps are back in stock at store.startingstrongman.com. One of our best sellers. I've been waiting on getting a new shipment, and they finally arrived. And I think they'll be gone pretty soon, so hurry up and go buy those. Also, Britain's Strongest Man's coming up this weekend. Will Eddie Hall, win it again, or Lawrence Chalet? And hopefully be talking to some of those athletes. Of course, Terry Hollins as well, and there's a bunch of great athletes competing, so that'll be interesting. And that, I believe, is being streamed on flowelite.com. If you have a Flow Elite subscription, you can watch it live. And if not, we'll of course be reporting on what happened or is happening at startingstrongman.com. We'll see what time it's at, if I'm going to wake up at 4 a.m. to watch it or not live. Anyways, what else? Arnold's coming up. Hope to see some of you there. Just did a seminar in Modesto for Complete Human Performance with Alex Villada. Thanks to everyone who came out. That was a great weekend at Stanulus Strength and Conditioning in Modesto, and they just opened that gym. So if you're in Modesto, California, you should check out that gym. Really cool. Going to be going down to San Diego February 4th and 5th. There is a contest at MetaHuman Fitness in San Diego, Vista. It's actually Vista, California, but San Diego area. And I will be helping with that contest and putting a seminar on Super Bowl Sunday, February 5th, startingstrongman.com/seminars. Tickets are only $50. Doing this one a little cheaper than normal because I'm going to be in the area already, and it's the Super Bowl, and it's gonna be fun because we're gonna combine it with like a Super Bowl party. We're gonna have, order some wings, get some food, drink some beer, and maybe if the interest is there, we might just watch the Super Bowl at the gym, which I think would be fun. Or we're definitely gonna do it. We're gonna start the seminar a little earlier, that you are, there's plenty of time for it'll be over before kickoff. Anyways, let's listen to Strong Talk. You probably fast forward through this like I do at the beginning of all the podcasts I listen to. Anyway, so go to, of course, thanks for listening, and let's talk with my old friend Chris Vachio. We talk a little bit about the Arnold coming up, to say, adaptive strongman, and that Adaptive Strongman is going to be at the Arnold. How cool is that? So here is Strong Talk podcast number 63 with Chris Vachio. Welcome to Strong Talk podcast. I am joined by legendary Kilted Warrior, or is it Kilted Wisdom?
Yes, Kilted Wisdom guy. Yeah.
Chris Vachio of he's if you don't follow, if you're not friends with Chris on Facebook and you're in the strongman community, you're doing yourself a big disservice, because it's one of the more entertaining ones to follow. He doesn't just spam you with links to his website like I do now. He actually posts up thoughts and musings. So how are you doing today, Chris?
Doing pretty good, Cal.
Yeah, it's
How's things in your neck of the woods?
oh, it's not bad at all. It's I'd like to say it's been cold, but then that would be a huge disservice to yourself living in Ohio, because
Yeah.
it's comparatively cold than usual around here, but it's not too bad. But so,
It actually
anyways,
feels good. Actually feels good here now compared to St. Louis over the weekend. Jeez, I was out in St. Louis for Willie Wessel's Hope for the Holidays contest, and man, we got a nice sheet of ice over all of St. Louis, so that made things entertaining.
yeah, especially driving back. Yeah, the Hope for Holidays is always a fun contest that's been going on for a long time, and I think it's one of the first that I noticed that was kind of that strongman push pull kind of concept, which
Hmm.
you see more and more of, which I like a lot, because who likes actually doing the events that require athleticism?
Exactly. If I can lift stuff and not move, I'm good.
Yeah, that's how I feel. That's how I feel right now as well. Where people ask if I want to compete again, and I'm like, no, but I might do a push pull at some point, because that seems like I could. You could train two things and get decent at them, and it's pretty easy. So did you competed this weekend? How did that go? Which of the pushing and the pulling did you choose to partake in?
I did the max log and max 18-inch deadlift, and then
Perfect.
the axle clean and press for reps. And the log I'm usually good at, but I've been a little off, and I also had a head cold, which of course makes your balance not great. Um,
No.
so I got the 300-pound log cleaned, and 300 was my opener, and I got it cleaned and almost fell over. And so I staggered around like a drunk guy for a minute, and then got the press, and um, then tried 330, and that crapped out. I just I got it most of the way clean. I'm like, yeah, I don't think this is happening today.
Yeah.
So that and the thought of falling over with 300 or 330 on my chest wasn't high on my list of things.
Yeah, especially when you have a head cold and you have all that weight pressing down on your chest. That's just, and you said there's sheets of ice, even if it's indoors. I'm sure it was
Yeah,
still somewhat chilly. Like that just doesn't seem like a good time.
yeah, yeah. Dizziness and log pressing, not a great combo.
No, we've seen some epic results of that, but it's not fun if it's you.
Yeah.
If it's a training partner, it's great.
Oh yeah. And endless amusement when your training partners fall down.
Yeah. Until unless
So,
they're the big ones and you have to pick them up. That's the
well, yeah.
kind of look around like, I need help with this guy. Um, but 18-inch deadlift, being short, it's the best event in the world. How did that one
Oh
go?
yeah. That one went pretty well. I got 900 easily on my opener, and then I tried for 1,000. And I have a really bad habit of, if I'm a little nervous about the weight and I'm not sure I can get it, when I'm into that rare PR area on my deadlift, I I screw up my technique slightly.
Gotcha.
So instead of actually having my shoulders over the bar where I can generate some power, I sit back for some idiotic reason. And so I'm trying to yank the thing backwards. I'm actually, looking at how badly I screwed up my pull. I'm amazed I even got the thing broken off the blocks. But I got 1,000 broken off the blocks. I think another year of training, I think I'll be able to hit it next year. So, because I smoked 900, it actually surprised me how easy it was. It was like, oh wow, okay. I mean, it felt like 800 used to me. So
Sure, yeah, 900's nothing to sneeze at. Yeah, and I just did. I haven't done 18-inch deadlifts in probably close to a year, and I did them this week, and it made me start thinking about those points, and I did it before, like the time couple like years back when I tried to hit 8, and I don't even train now, and I hit 725. It just felt like garbage because when you're not used to like that
Yeah.
feeling, but it wasn't too bad when my lifetime PR on that event is 755, and I know I was like stronger at that point, but I thought a lot about the technique, and so many people make that mistake, and even like you said, better, where you're trying to like leverage. It's the same mistake that people make on the car deadlift, where they try to lean back with it,
Yes.
and you're
Hmm.
somehow going to leverage something that's a lot heavier than you. Where, yeah, if you it, and where the you see a lot of people have how do you put it, where they struggle from pulls from elevated heights because the
Yeah.
technique is different than off the floor
Yeah. Yeah.
to be
And a lot of
optimal at it.
yeah, and that's a lot of people don't get that. They try and do the exact same thing. It's a different lift. It's it is not the same. And that's what I mean, because I'm like, well, my best pull off the floor is 700,
Yeah,
and I feel like I've got more in the tank, and I want to get to around 800 here over the next year, 2 years. But it's totally. I mean, I'm a good 250 to I'm a good 250 pounds on my 18-inch deadlift easily than what I am off the floor,
yeah, absolutely.
and
And
it's just leverage and technique,
hmm
you know, because that's where I'm bad off the ground. If I can break it, if I can get it up to my knees or close to my knees, I'll get it locked out. But it's just that initial getting it off the ground when it's on the floor. So 18 inches, I don't have to get it off the floor anymore.
yeah,
So
I'm the same way. And yeah, the setup you want for an elevated pull or an 18-inch deadlift, from what I found, is more of that shoulders over the bar, and because
yep.
your hips are already closer to lockout. By leaning back, then you're putting your hips all the way further back, and then there's no leverage there. Where if you try to stand pretty much as vertical as possible from the start, and then you use a good amount of quads just to break it off the blocks, and then
Mm-hmm.
once it's done, then you just shove your hips forward, and you're good. But yeah, so it's different where you don't want really your shoulders over the bar so much in off the floor, because then you're
Right.
using all back and taking your hamstrings out of it. So I think that's the most common mistake that I see people making in their elevated pulls. So little tip
Yeah.
for everyone out there.
Yeah, irritated the hell out of me to watch myself do it when I saw the video.
Isn't that the worst?
Yeah, like,
Like
oh damn it.
you've probably taught people to not do that plenty of
Oh yeah,
times.
yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
And then, there I go and do it.
Yeah, it's easier said than done is always the case. Yes,
Yeah,
but
I'm
especially when
thinking,
you're
well, hell, maybe I mean, it's the fact that I got it broken off the blocks with complete shit technique. I'm like, well, hell, I might have actually been able to get it if I'd done it right.
sure. Yeah, well
Yeah,
there's always next year.
yeah.
Um and, so when, just to go back a little bit, like when did you actually get involved with strongman or find out that it's a thing?
No,
Um,
that's
can you
that
remember that
was
back
oh yeah,
that far?
yeah. It is. Yeah, memory is getting rough these days. Yeah. Me in the master's class, the memories at a premium. So no, the that was back in 2009
Okay.
is when I got 2009 or 2008. I think it was 2009. Um, the the weirdest thing of it was a shoulder injury that got me into the sport. My shoulders were just really jacked up, but I wanted to press, and I'd read that pressing with a neutral grip was easier on your shoulders.
Mm-hmm.
So I went to the Arnold that year specifically looking for neutral grip pressing implements, and Slater happened to have some of his stuff at a booth. He wasn't there at the booth. He was, of course, helping out with the pro show like he always does. And but I'm like, well, hell, this guy's just he's 20 minutes away from where I live, and So I'm looking at that. I'm like, well, okay, these logs look way cooler than these, the Swiss bars and whatnot. And with me being able to just drive 20 minutes and go pick it up, it's about the same price when you factor in shipping and all that. So I'm like, all right, I went ahead, ordered a log. And when I went down and put the down payment on the log, he said, well, hey, we train events over at our warehouse on Saturdays if you want to come out. And I'm like, okay. So, I went out there, a week or two later, and I had absolutely no idea what to expect. I had come from more of a bodybuilding kind of powerlifting type of environments prior to that. And so I'm just like, yeah, show up. And I'm kind of expecting a little bit more ego type things. You know how a lot of that gets,
Mm-hmm.
when you're in particularly a bodybuilding gym, but, also in a lot of the powerlifting cases, there's a lot of ego swinging around until you prove yourself and all that. So I'm kind of expecting that sort of environment, and it really freaked me out. Here I am trying to figure out the log press, and I've got 10 guys all yelling different instructions at me. All I was confused the hell out of me for a minute. I'm like, okay, wait, you over there, what did you say? Okay, I'll try that. And it just kind of, but I mean, it's like guys were, tripping all over themselves to try and help me out and, help me learn the technique and stuff. And then there's a teenage kid who was there. He's a lightweight teen. I don't know if he's still competing much. I think he's making babies right now. His name's Tyler Nichols, and he outpressed me that first day. And I think he was around like 190 or 200 on his press, and I got up to a nice lofty 180. And so as I'm driving home, I'm like, all right, I'm definitely coming back until I can outpress that little shit. Uh, but but Steve and just his whole crew of guys that were lifting there at the time, they were just really good, and I kept coming back. I remember waking up the day afterwards. That was kind of fun. I
Yeah.
wake up Sunday morning, and I reach over and I kind of wake my wife up, and she's like, "What?" I said, "I gotta pee." And she's like, "Okay, so what?" And I'm like, "I can't get out of bed. Can you help me out of bed?" and and she's like, if I'm gonna have to get your ass out of bed every weekend, you're not doing this.
I
I
know
said it'll
she
get better, I'm sure.
rather you go out drinking and be
Yeah,
just hung over. It's what's weird. It's a similar feeling, especially
yeah,
when you start where your body you just wake up and it's just in this fog after
yeah,
doing heavy events. It's hard to describe unless you've witnessed it. But yeah, I remember I used to just on Sundays I'd be like, I'm watching football and sitting here all day, which
yeah.
now I don't have the luxury of doing. But at that point, it's just this is all that's happening.
Oh yeah, yeah. I mean, it took me a couple about three or four sessions in there. I got to where I could at least function and like get out of bed on my own on Sunday. So she didn't have to help me that too much. But
That's great.
yeah, that was a fun time. So
Yeah,
yeah, so I did go back and I can now outpress Tyler.
there you
So
go.
I feel way better about myself now.
That's only because, like you said, he's not doing the sport anymore. But
Yeah, yeah. If he were still grinding it out, he'd probably be past me on that too.
yeah, well, it's a victory one way or the other. It doesn't
Yeah,
matter. Um,
I'll take a win by attrition. I'm not too proud.
oh yeah, when you go to a contest and you're the only person in your weight class, or there's two people, and you're like, I won. I worked really hard.
Yes, that's up until recently. That was one of the only ways I was ever going to win a farmers event. So
Yeah.
yeah, funny story with that too. I mean, one of the things I am legendary for is sucking at farmers.
Yeah, well,
And
18-inch. With usually people that are good at an 18-inch deadlift are also very bad at farmers. There's a correlation there.
yeah, I've got that correlation in spades. And I we did farmers that first day, and everybody else was grabbing the farmers handles, struggling to get them locked out. and then they go ahead and take off and walk. I walk up, grab them, pick them up like they're toys, take 3 steps and drop them. And Steve looks around and goes, you know, I've never seen anybody pick them up that easy and drop them that fast.
Oh, that's great.
Yeah,
So
he did also say that if my grip ever catches up to if my grip ever catches up, I'll be hard to beat at that. But been haven't been working on that as diligently over the last 6, 7 years as I should have been. But I'm working on a lot now. So
so what are you doing to actually improve the farmers? I know you recently didn't take last finally in the
yes,
farmers walk,
yeah,
and I find if you're not, I find the grip training, like if you're blessed as I am, and I assume you are with uh small hands, that
mm-hmm.
it's like you can train grip a lot. It takes a long time. It's the same, like some people are just built, they have good leverages for pressing or deadlifting, and they can
Yeah.
train it all the time and improve. Where I've found, if it's the same with that, where if you kind of have to lower the frequency. But what have you found?
I have to do a lot of long and light farmers carries.
Mm-hmm.
So I won't do any less than like 120-foot carry, and I'll just keep the weights light and walk it for at least 120 feet. If it's nice outside, I'll take them outside the gym in the back parking lot, and then I can go for 200 odd feet. And that seems to be the only thing that brings my grip up, because it's that I being able, and like static holds don't never seem to help me. For me, I think part of it is that my body just, because I've got a ton of knee issues, and I've got missing parts out of both knees and arthritis and all that great stuff. So I think my body has a little bit of a block in it where it says, "Oh shit, you're going to blow something again," and drop it. So I've got to move with it. I can't just do static holds.
Sure.
My static hold grip's actually not bad now. I can just, if I just got to stand there and hold it, I'm okay. But if I start moving with it, my body tends to freak out a little bit. So it's that long conditioning to get it used to. Oh, okay, you can't actually carry something, and like we're not going to explode any more parts. So that's what's helped me a lot of late. And the last time my farmers was actually decent was that's what I did. But I got it decent for a while. Where I used to work, they had a gym in the office building that I worked. So I brought in a pair of farmers handles and left them loaded to like 180 pounds or something, not very much, and then just started walking around the gym with them and doing 300-400 foot walks with light weights just to get my hands conditioned. Worked really well for a while. I'd pop up there a couple times a week and just start walking around the gym on my break, and that helped a bunch. But then I changed jobs and didn't keep up on it, and my grip went back to shit in a hurry.
Yeah, it's funny how, like, looking back at some of my own training, you deviate and you start doing stuff, and you're like, I don't know why this isn't improving, and then you look back at what you were doing when everything was working, and you start doing that again, and then it's amazing, it still works.
Yeah, how about that?
Yeah, it's because so, like, you can get caught up. Like, I've recently started to kind of switch my focus in my training. I'm like, okay, when I made lots of progress, I only front squatted, and I'm not saying this works for everyone, but for myself,
Yeah.
I'm like, I did this, I trained my press like this, I barely back squatted, maybe for no less than like 5 rep sets, and not that often, and I make progress, and because I've found with doing the events, it's so taxing on your low back that then adding back squats in there doesn't. It works good for some people, but
Mm.
it doesn't seem to for me. Um, but I also, when you're doing those farmers walks for long distances, do you keep track of the time you're actually being under tension, or
Uh,
is it
no,
just
I'm
I'm going
just
to go
going.
for a set distance?
I usually just go for set distance, and then I'll start working on that once I get my grip to a decent point again. I'll then I'll start worrying about like my time intervals.
Hmm.
I'll start trying to get fast over a particular distance. But yeah, up to then, I'm just like, I just want to make it the 120 feet, however long it takes me.
Gotcha. Yeah,
But,
because yeah, I found the same. Well, when that's basically my advice when people ask me about grip training is they say, "How do I get my grip better?" For strongman, and I say you got to hold things. You got to hold heavy things for a long time. Or
yeah.
just hold things for a long time. Doesn't matter really what it is, but
Mhm.
yeah. And I mean, doing 300-foot carries with farmers is horrible. No one
Oh yeah.
wants to do that, and that's why you
No.
stop. That's probably why you stopped doing it at some
Yeah.
point.
Well, yeah. Yeah. I mean, it is miserable. It's not a fun thing at all. But it's like, okay, I know that's what I need to do. So I guess I better just go ahead and, suck it up, or, or just suffer the consequences. It started getting to me finally last year of, going to a contest and coming in dead last in the farmers. And I'm just like, you know what? This isn't funny anymore. I, I just,
Sure.
I just, I really don't like constantly being last in the farmers. I at least want to be, if not good, at least not shitty, at least semi competitive maybe.
Yeah,
So
there's the other option, which you could take is just only do shows that don't have farmers and be one of
yeah,
those guys.
I mean, it's like, USS Nationals has got farmers in it, so I'm like, all right, damn it.
Hmm.
And I guess I think Barkley was looking at the events, going, hey, what can I fuck with Vachio the most on? Ooh, we'll do an axle. We'll do a sandbag carry. We'll do a farmers. Yeah, I
You
think
know,
he was. I,
there's a lot of promoters do that. Like I just set the events for California Strongest Woman, and I was like, what would Vachio be really bad at?
yeah,
Just in
it's
case. I don't know if you're transitioning and anything's happening, but just in case, I want
well,
you to have a bad
hey,
time at
I
it.
do wear the kilt, so I'm not that. I'm a couple hormone shots away from being the women's masters anyway. So, heck, according to my original test, I was in the high range of testosterone levels for a postmenopausal woman at the time. So a couple of years ago when I got it checked out.
Yeah, no, that's never fun. I'm sure you were lovely to be around when you had those hormone
Oh,
levels too.
well, yeah, that's why I got them checked, because my wife was like, "Go get checked out before I kill you."
Sure, yeah. I had a similar issue after the Arnold in 2014, and I'm I think if after that transition, if my wife can put up with me, then we're probably good.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. She put up with me through that period of my life. I think she's not going to leave me for any reason.
Yeah, what were like? I think my levels were down to like 40 or something.
Oh yeah, it was something like that for me too. I mean, I looked, I had to do a double take. I'm like, what? And they had the reference ranges, and I really was like at the high end of the scale for postmenopausal women. I thought, oh shit, really? Great.
Yeah, and you're just like grandma, but you can't bake.
Yeah, pretty much. That was it. Yeah, I can't crochet worth a damn. I got the fingers, just short fingers. I can't do it.
Don't have the grip for that either.
Yeah, yeah. Keep dropping the needles.
uh, um, but yeah, getting back to a little bit more in the strongman. So you got into it, and I think that's one of the things where you're saying it was just a great group of guys. Why we end up falling in love with the sport? It's not even so much doing the events or anything. It's going doing that group training. You have something to do every Saturday or Sunday for the most part,
Yeah.
and you get together. You bullshit. It's fun.
Hmm.
It's the same thing as like people get together on Sunday and they drink beers and watch football, except you're actually doing something.
Yeah.
um,
Exactly.
which and that's what keeps you coming back. Like I know, I went up and trained with a couple guys. I haven't done that in a long time, and I didn't really lift too much. I did a little bit of this, a little bit of that, but I wouldn't consider it training. But it was just enjoyable, and you're helping someone if they're prepping for a show, and you're not really doing something. You still contribute by helping them load and
Yeah.
unload. Yeah, that's the great part of strongman. But when did you like start getting more involved with the sport? Because you're a state chair. for Strongman Corp in Ohio. You done a lot of you work with the Arnold Classic behind the scenes. You're one of the guys that helps out with that and stuff. So when did you start having a little more hands on in that regard? Promoting contests and everything.
Um, was let's see, it took me about 3-4 years of competing. I'd always kind of wanted to run a show. Just after competing in a few, like it would be kind of interesting to put together a show. And then working backstage with Steve at the Arnold, he just invited some of the guys from the training crew to come and help out because they needed bodies to help load and unload for the guys. And that was just a blast.
Mm-hmm.
You're sitting there setting up deadlifts for deadlift weights for guys like Shaw and Benny and them. And I love being backstage like that because it's fun to watch them, how they plan their warm ups and how they just their preparation, the preparation that you don't always get to see just by watching them on TV.
Yeah,
And
it's real cool. I've had the pleasure of doing that a couple times.
yeah,
It's definitely cool to see.
yeah, but so I'd always kind of had a little bit of an eye towards that, and watching how the contests are going, watching how they run, making little mental notes of I'd kind of I think I'd maybe do it this way, maybe I'd do this a little bit differently than what this guy's doing it. I like what he's doing here. I like this event, and so it just kind of flowed that way. Where and then I had one kind of set up, and then the people that had the venue kind of flaked out on me.
That's always
So
nice.
yeah, yeah, I can't even remember exactly what happened, but they were all gung ho about having the contest there, and then probably just about when I was ready to go ahead and get it sanctioned, they were like, "Oh, never mind." Oh, okay, yeah. So, but finally, I got to do one at a local college. A friend of mine was trying to get a strength and conditioning program started there, and he wanted to do it as kind of a fundraiser. So I'm like, okay, well, you provide me with the venue, and I'll provide you with you know entertainment, and we'll take the proceeds from there. I was able to coordinate with a guy that was a fabricator at the time that was making some of the equipment for the show. So we got to just leave some of that equipment there for them. We got them some axles. We got them a wide variety of stuff. And they were pretty happy with it. Had a really good turnout for the contest. It was a lot of fun. I had a blast running it. Um, as you can imagine, me with a mic and a captive audience, um, I I entertain myself as best I can, and so it just kind of all stemmed from there. With the adaptive strongman, that just I had heard Canadian adaptive strongman Jeff King.
Mm-hmm.
He was on I guess it's the now defunct
RX
um,
Power Hour.
RX Power Hour, yeah.
It was a good
And
show
so
when it was going. I
it
enjoyed
it
listening
really
to it.
was. It was a lot of fun. I thought Mike and Brian kind of played off of each other pretty well. Yeah, it was pretty entertaining.
Yeah, I listened to the one before that, which was Nathan Payton. You
That's
know,
right. Yeah, I did listen to some of those too.
yeah,
They
it's funny like the all of how far like strongman podcasts go, and then the turmoil involved with it with switching guests and everything. It's kind of amusing in a way.
yeah, yeah, it definitely is. Yeah. So, well, I'd heard Jeff on the RX Power Hour,
Hmm.
and he made a comment about world's strongest disabled man, and the comment that he really just kind of made it in passing, but he said, "Yeah, it sucks that I've got to go all the way to Iceland just to compete, but I don't have any other options."
Right.
And so I got in touch with him. I'm like, "Really? There's nothing in North America? There's nothing in Canada at all?" And he's like, "No, nothing." So I'm like, "Well, hell, somebody should do something about that." And A friend of mine, Phil Brown, he's passed away a couple of years ago, but Phil actually gave me the kick in the ass to go ahead and start actually planning the contest. He's like, "Well, you run good contests, you do it." I'm like, all right, fair enough. Yeah, 415-pound guy tells you to do something, you just go ahead and do it. So,
Yeah, I've had similar
and
experiences.
yeah, yeah. So that's I went ahead and yeah, I think he just got sick of me bitching, honestly. Yeah, because I was just kind of, I'm like, damn it, I can't believe nobody's doing this. Why isn't anybody? And I talked to a few people, and nobody seemed to want to touch it at all. So, and that just kind of irritated me. I'm like, why the hell isn't anybody doing this? And yeah, that was his kind of, well, why don't you just shut the hell up and do it yourself then? I'm like, all
It's
right,
always a
fair
good motto. It's not fun. It's a lot easier, especially we're all aware in the strongman scene is it's a lot easier to complain about how things are
enough. Yes, yeah,
than
yeah,
to actually do anything like how you think they should be.
yeah, exactly. Oh
It's
gosh,
a
yeah,
lot easier.
yeah, yeah. I love, yeah, the mass of people who have never run a contest bitching about how bad it was. Yeah, and
Sure.
how you should have run it.
Yeah.
But
So you get that ball rolling.
yeah,
With the adaptive class. And it's interesting because this was a little before because it seems like especially with like Instagram and the rise of social media, there's a lot of people are aware of the amazing things that these athletes are doing now. But I remember when you posted the first one, this was kind of before a lot of those types of athletes kind of gain the notoriety that they have now.
mhm.
So what were some of the challenges and then differed from running other contests that you've done previously?
It's definitely a lot more work because you really have to have an eye or a much greater eye towards athlete safety.
Mm-hmm.
And because these guys have already got some pretty decent issues in some cases. And so the last thing you ever want is to have an event where one of these guys faces an undue amount of extra risk over and above what's reasonable. So you don't want to. There are just so many potential pitfalls. So you really got to take an eye of that and go, okay, I can't really do this event because what if they lose their balance and go over backwards in the wheelchair, or guys with different types of prosthetics. It's like, okay, well, if this guy's got a prosthetic, he can't get down low enough to do this. So I can't do this particular event. So, you've got to kind of take all that into account. It takes a little bit more planning, but all the guys that compete, they're also fantastic to bounce ideas off of. Guys like Jeff, Gary Clark in England, Derek Carver's been great to bounce ideas off of. Travis Howarth in Texas is another guy, local guy named Tommy On here, and so I bounce ideas off of them a lot and say, hey, look, what do you think about this? What do you think about this for a weight?
Mm-hmm.
And so because you've got a lot of things to consider there. Another guy, James here local, he's got one arm, so he talked to me before last year's contest, and we made a quick adjustment so that he could still compete on a level playing field because he's with him only having the one arm, he's got a lot of the events are two arm bias. So you get a guy like him. He's a great. He can do all kinds of cool stuff. He actually loaded I think he's up to like a 240-pound stone maybe now. When he's only got one arm,
It's
he
amazing.
like he ramps it up his leg into his lap and then pops his hips, and it's really, I mean, it's awesome to watch it.
He uses
And
tacky though, right?
yes, he does. So I mean, so he's a cheater for
Yeah,
using
of
tacky.
course. And a grip
But
shirt.
You know what? He doesn't use a grip shirt.
Oh.
And worst thing ever though, he used a glove.
Mm.
He had a glove on, so uh, got to razz him about that for sure. But now James came up to me at the gym. He actually trains out of the gym I'm in, and he's like, "Look, I can't do a log press." And he goes, obviously, and he kind of flopped his arm at me. He goes, "This ain't gonna press the log," and I'm like, "Yeah, good point." So he said, "Well, hey, look, I can do some stuff on the dumbbell." He goes over and shows me, cleans one of my monster bells and presses it. I'm like, all right, well, I'll tell you what, let me figure out the weights, but well, I'll give you guys an option where if they want to press the log, fine. If they want to press the bell, they can press the bell. And so, we adapted,
Right.
and so yeah, there's all kinds of considerations like that you have to figure on. It's safety. You've got that. Another thing that's come up here recently, and as we get more athletes in, I think we'll definitely make some more variations. When you take guys like Gary Clark and Jeff King, they've got cerebral palsy. Well, there's a big difference in strength levels between somebody with CP and a guy like Tommy On, he's an above the knee amputee.
Mm-hmm.
So they both are competing in the seated class, but Tommy, Tommy can Tommy can be reasonably certain his body's going to do what he wants it to do when he wants it to do it. Where guys with CP, not always the case. So it's there's a lot of things to consider, but it's still they're so awesome to train with. To watch them do the stuff, watch them do the events, and they're because they don't have a means of going, they don't have a contest, that this isn't as widespread as it should be. They're they're so thankful. It was humbling to me of how much these guys were, like Gary came all the way over from England to compete in my show,
Mm-hmm.
and he's thanking me constantly for letting him do it. I'm like, dude, you're coming all the way over from England.
Yeah, no kidding.
Thank you. You're flying. You're doing this intercontinentally just to compete in my show. Thank you for And so it took me aback a little bit, but they're just happy to have a place to get out there and lift heavy shit like the rest of us. And so it's very cool. I highly recommend anybody, any promoters out there, go ahead and try and do it. If you want any tips, feel free to contact me. I will be more than happy to tell you everything I know and give you any kind of ideas to help you out. And if you're not that far away, I'll come out and help you out. So
Yeah.
um
Awesome.
I, I would, one of the things I really want to see, I would love to see that aspect of the sport grow. I'd love to see it would be very cool if we had, if I actually had a qualifier for my contest, if people had to qualify to come to my contest, which is, the American Championships.
Mm-hmm.
It would be neat, if we had enough going on, that we actually had a qualifying system going into it.
Yeah, I think that's a good point on qualifiers in general. Is I think you need to have enough interest that it warrants a qualifier in order to have
Yeah.
one, or else you're just kind of bottlenecking everything. But just to talk a little bit more about what the landscape is for the adaptive strongman class. So you said that Jeff King was competing in Iceland, and those were Magnus for Magnuson was running the first contest like this, I believe.
Yeah.
And then now, so what basically, what are like some of the, is there like Facebook groups for this or anything online if people want to keep up on it or to get involved? And what are some of like the major contests of that are coming up or have been around?
That one, World's Strongest Disabled Man, is definitely the oldest. They've been doing that for about 12 years, I think, 12 or
Oh,
13.
really? That long?
Uh, yeah, yeah. It's Not I don't know, not widely known, not widely advertised, and but Magnus has been involved with that, and another guy, Arnar, and now there's Toby George, I think, from England also. They're all kind of working together, and Arnar's name I have to kind of look at his last name, so I'm just going to go
Sure.
with Arnar for the. Um,
That works fine.
but yeah, he's been good friends with Magnus for a long time, and well, I know, and I picked leading up to my first time, I actually talked to Magnus a couple of times at the Arnold to ask him, some questions about what they did, and so really, that show's still the main show. World's Strongest Disabled Man. My show, the America's Strongest Adaptive Athlete. We're still looking for adaptive women to come under the. We haven't gotten any adaptive women coming in yet, but I'm still offering that as a possibility. I still offer the class at my contest. Would love to get a few ladies in too. I'm sure there's some crazy adaptive women out there that want to lift heavy shit.
Yeah, there's the one they see doing like Olympic lifting, like Crystal Cantu, I think her name
Yeah,
is. Yeah.
yeah,
So
yeah. So they're out there. I know they're out there. So hopefully we'll get the word spread and get some crazy ladies out there too. We There's been some in England here last year. Gary Clark really has been he's been very very kind of spearheading that effort to get adaptive strongman going out in England. And then now we've got first time it's going to be at the Arnold this year on Sunday
yep, that's the
at
big
the Arnold.
news.
Mm-hmm. And Arnar and Magnus are heading that up along with Toby, and I'm the local liaison, I guess. So I'm doing my best to round up equipment and volunteers and things like that. So I'll kind of be doing a lot of coordinating behind the scenes and trying to get that going. So it's you know definitely, Dion and Magnus went to the Arnold committee and got us the time for it, and on the Sunday afternoon. So that'll we don't have the exact time nailed down yet. So there's still quite a bit of communication back and forth between me and Arnar and Toby, figuring out exactly the particulars. But the guys in the U.S. are excited as hell about it. I've gotten a bunch of messages. Everybody's kind of, hey, how do I sign up? How do I sign up? So it's going to be a good turnout. I can see we'll have a very very nice turnout for that, and looking forward to how that goes.
Yeah, so is that going to be like a full on contest with multiple events or
Yes, yeah,
okay.
we're planning 4 events. It looks like we're going to have a dumbbell press, a Atlas stone loading, a arm over arm pull, and a crucifix hold. We were hoping to do a vehicle for the arm over arm, but that's not going to happen because
No, in expos that's
yeah,
always tough.
yeah, in the expo center it's super super difficult. I managed to finagle it for my show, but it's for one this size, and the fire marshals are definitely it's they're very very particular, like oddly particular about what you can and can't do. So
Yeah, that whole running vehicle inside a arena with very little
well,
exits and 100,000
well, it's
people in it.
you're not allowed to run them at all,
No.
and you've got to have them disabled like in a couple of different ways. So that's the venue where I have my contest. Thankfully, it's a good sized place, but it's not like expo center size.
Hmm.
So I don't have to have people pushing a car for a half a mile to, get it into the place.
Yeah,
We can just open the side door and get a couple of guys on it, push the cars in for the car deadlift, and then push them back out, and we're good.
perfect.
And we can push the tow truck in and have them do the arm over arm and push it back out, and we're all set. But yeah, something like this in the expo center, that's not going to fly. So I think we're going to do a heavy ass sled. Yeah, maybe they'll just have me stand on it. I don't know.
Well, I was gonna say some showgirls or something, but you
Well,
know,
yeah.
a Vachio and his kilt,
Well, yeah, that's right.
it's
I'll
even better.
don the kilt. I'll don the kilt. I'll get on there, and if they can pull me 50 feet without throwing up, they're good.
That sounds like a harder event than any of the pros have to do.
Yeah, probably. Well, they don't have the visual assault of having to pull me towards them. So
It's not exactly the carrot on the stick, is
yeah, yeah, it's kind of the opposite of you've got to overcome the wanting to repulse away, but you have to still keep pulling.
Oh, that's great. So is this the kind of contest where invites are going to go out or selected or I
Um, I think to some extent, I mean, that's I think we're just going to let the guys that want to come out and compete.
mhm.
Just simply because there aren't massive numbers. Although I think we're going to have a fantastic turnout just based on the
Location?
number of the location and the number of messages and emails that I've gotten already. They're definitely going to. I think we'll have a good. I think we'll have. I think we stand to get a good 20-25 people.
Yeah, that'd be huge.
Across both the classes because we'll have a standing class and a wheelchair class as well.
Hmm. And
So
and yeah, it's just going to be such big exposure to show what these athletes can do.
yeah,
There's no bigger live exposure, I don't think, for something like this than the Arnold Classic.
yeah,
So that'll do great things going forward. Um, and speaking of like, so I imagine you have your contest coming up again.
yeah. My
What?
my contest will be on May 13th, and it'll be at the Ohio Expo Center in the Ohio building. I already paid the deposit down on the building, so yeah, I've got to get everything ironed out and get all the sanctioning in and all that. So I've just got to. I'm trying to get a couple last things ironed out, and that one's going to be fun. Both I run it in conjunction with a an open contest as well.
Hmm.
Basically, the open contest is what feeds the adaptive show. So that
Yeah,
way
so
I
it
don't.
can pay for the building and
Yeah, yeah.
everything.
That way I don't go broke. My wife tends to frown on me, going broke doing this. So as long as I can come out and break even, I'm happy. She's happy. She won't leave me for Vin Diesel or anything. But the yeah, so that one's going to be May 13th. I'm having some fun planning that one. I'm doing I'm bringing back the epic press medley for the open classes. So we're going to have 9 implements,
Oh, geez.
and you've got 90 seconds to press as many of them as you can. So I'm planning probably thinking steel log, wood log, axle, barbell, monster bell, keg, block, a Viking press, and a fire hydrant. So
That's how it gets when you have 9 implements. You're like, what am I going to
yeah,
throw in at the end? Fire hydrant. There we go.
yeah. Well, I picked up a fire hydrant here recently, and happened to score one for free, and it was pretty fun to grab it, and the guys that where it was located, they're like, "Oh, do you need help putting that in the car?" And I'm like, "Nope, got it," and just picked it up, and they're just like, "Oh, okay."
Nice.
And I got it back to the gym, and I'm like, "Yeah, I need to play around with this. It's probably about 150 ish, so 130, 150, somewhere in that range. Super awkward to press. It took me like 4 tries to get it pressed. So it's very very similar to a block press, but and I'm going to find a heavier one for the men's classes. So that one's probably going to be like for the women and the novice, and then I'll get a heavier one somewhere, and that one can be for the big boys and all that.
Awesome. Yeah, it's
So,
the beauty of strongman. It's literally anything that someone can think of, and
yeah,
I always like how if something gets implemented at a big show, then every other promoter then has the idea So you see these
Yeah.
trends come and go.
Oh
Where
yeah.
there's a circus dumbbell at the Arnold, and then everyone's like, oh yeah, that's pretty cool. Let's do that. Then before that, you never saw it really.
Yeah.
You know,
And yeah,
it's
now it's in a whole lot of contests. Of course, car deadlift there for a while.
Yep.
With when you got several places that were actually making the frames. Now you see those a lot more in contests than you used to.
Mm-hmm.
Used to be a rarity. I still love having them in my I've got a great car sponsor for my show. They're always happy to bring out nice new cars for us to lift. And I know exactly what kind of car, and it's in good shape, and they're really happy for it. And they love being a part of it. So
Yeah, that makes it's yeah, you can really structure the events around potential sponsors is also a
mm-hmm.
good idea.
Yeah.
I think yeah. Before we get going, I think a good thing if I get asked this a lot, and honestly, I just tell people I'm like I'm not the person to do this. I've ran one contest, So, what would be some of your tips for people that want to promote contests or that are and like like the top things to be aware of or how to plan it
Mm.
if you want to promote a contest or just to get better at promoting contests.
Yeah. Definitely. Um, Depending on the area where you live, like in Ohio, the weather is so unpredictable that I always try for an indoor venue.
Mm-hmm.
But I always try and plan the event around the venue, both with regard to what I can do without destroying the place and what I can bring there that's not going to be too much of a pain in the ass. Um, because I don't want to spend 20 hours loading up a truck and taking it across town, or halfway across the state. And then, so there's a lot of things where I'm like, maybe I can plan, hey, maybe I can do an axle press and an axle deadlift so I can not have to bring as much stuff.
Yeah, until
And,
you do a 9-part overhead medley.
well, yeah, yeah. Yeah. See, even now I'm looking at it, I'm like, okay, yeah, I'll need a fair bit of stuff, but it's not going to be, I don't know, it's not going to take up a ton of space though.
Sure.
So that's what I was, because when I first thought about that, I'm like, oh man, I'm kind of stupid. But then I'm like, wait a minute, no. And then, well, one of our car deadlift apparatuses has handles on it that'll actually work for the Viking press.
Oh,
So
perfect.
one of our Viking presses is going to be the car deadlift set up on something. So we'll be able to work with that. And so it'll perform double duty. But that's plan with that. The biggest thing I will say is treat your volunteers like the gold that they are. Um, because your volunteers in a lot of cases are going to make or break your show.
Absolutely.
Yeah, and I see a lot of promoters that they're treating them like middle-aged slaves and things like that, and they're barking commands and they're being nasty at them, and then I always try and treat them well. I mean, one, these guys, the guys that help me out, that've been with me for a long time, they know how I like to do things, and so half the time, I mean, it takes a lot of the stress off of me because they'll figure out what needs done and they'll go ahead and do it. I don't even have to say anything. They know what I want done. They know where I want things, and we'll go over it ahead of time a little bit, but they've been with me long enough. They know pretty much. So they'll just come to me and, hey, look, we set this up like that. I'm like, all right, that's perfect. You guys are awesome. So it takes a lot of the stress off me for running the show. And I mean, clearly tell your volunteers what you need them to do. Make sure you have, get your volunteer list ahead of time and figure out what things you want people to do. Try and set it up so that they can have breaks to go to the bathroom so that they're not doing something for 8 hours straight.
Yeah, running in shifts even.
Yeah. Run things in shifts, give people a chance to go to the bathroom, grab some food, watch a little bit of the contest and, and then spring for dinner or something, at least pizza and beer, if not a full dinner out, something to, just as a way of thanking them for, taking a Saturday to help you run your show. And, and it's more than a Saturday for them because they'll probably be helping you unload and load and unload the truck and, cart the stuff around.
Mm-hmm.
So, that's probably the biggest mistake that I see people doing is, not treating the volunteers well. Yeah. Hook these people up. They're the
Yeah,
lifeblood of your
it
show.
doesn't go on if you don't have enough bodies to make
Yeah.
everything run smoothly. Then it doesn't. So even going before that is, I think, an important note is to make sure that you have enough people, or that you will.
Yes. Yes.
If
Yeah.
you're like me and you don't have any friends, you better go make some.
Yeah. Yeah. Make some friends in a hurry or bribe people or something. Send nudes, whatever it takes, or threaten to send nudes. In my case,
Yeah.
I could just, tell them, hey, you either show up or I'm sending you nudes. So
every day.
yeah, I will bomb you with nudes if you don't help.
That's great. Yeah, and I think almost any contest is going to be looked at as a success as long as the scoring and the judging is consistent
Yeah. Yeah.
and it runs somewhat on time.
Yeah. Man, that's another tough part for is finding people that judge consistently and judge well. I guess, yeah, if they judge consistently shitty, that's probably not a much of a virtue. But
Well, it's
yeah,
better than
yeah,
favoritism.
that's true. Yeah, but yeah, you get people that judge consistently, and I've got a couple of people that I know I can count on that they will judge. They'll be as much of an asshole in the judge's chair as I am, and it's they're just strict and by the book.
Mm-hmm.
And so I definitely, that's one of the things I try and do is like, okay, because I like to try and make sure I can run two athletes at a time at any given contest, just so it doesn't take 5 years
Yeah, so it
to
goes
finish the
twice as
contest.
fast.
Yeah, exactly. But I'm like, there have been times when I'm like, okay, I'd like to do 3 or 4 athletes at a time. I've got the equipment that I can pull it off, but do I have the judges? Do I have 4 people that I know I can count on to judge it the way that I want it done?
Sure.
And, and then making sure that people write things down the right way on the score sheets and all that. Because my wife does my scoring for me, and she, she can be very unhappy with people when they don't write things down correctly.
Right. Yeah, the scoring's probably the hardest job.
It is. Yeah, no doubt. And that's which is another thing. Um, find a way to hide your scorekeeper.
Yeah, don't
If
tell
you,
anyone who's doing it.
yeah, don't tell anyone who's doing it, or like that's one of the things that April likes about the venue that I usually get for the adaptive show and the open show for the Big Phil Classic. Um, there's a room in there where I can stick her in that room. She can lock the door and she can do the scoring. So that way she doesn't have, so and so's wife or brother or roommate or whatever. Hey, where,
Yeah.
what's Jimmy, or, in one case we were helping out and she was doing the scoring for another contest, and somebody comes up and is like, hey, how am I doing? She's like, who the hell are you? Yeah. Well, I'm Jim. Okay,
Yeah.
Jim. What's your last name and what weight class are you in? Yeah.
Yeah, it's funny. People always assume that you know what's going on.
Yeah.
It's even hard. Yeah, in other instances, I have that problem where, people email me and they're like, they'll ask me a question like, hey, what's my order status? I'm like, okay. And it could have been
Yeah.
ordered under their wife's email or
Yeah.
even with training regards. They're like, hey, you helped me with my log press. Now I'm doing this. I'm like, I can't remember. Like, no offense. Like, I think I do a good job of remembering people, but in order to remember all the times that I did this, I'd have to have it
Yeah.
even more of like a Rain Man style quality where I might not
Yeah.
be able to function as good in other instances.
Yeah, it's not like I've been laying awake for the last 6 months thinking about nothing but what I told you about training.
No, only spare moments in the day. But yeah, but I think there's some good advice. I'm excited to see the adaptive class at the Arnold, and I think it's awesome what you've done with it. If there's in the good luck with your contest coming up, and we'll be
Oh,
sure to I'll be sure to help spread the word on here and
yeah.
on starting
Once we
strongman and
get some,
everything.
yeah, once we get some more details ironed out, and I get an actual entry form and stuff, I'll get both contests up on starting strongman.
Awesome. Perfect. If there's anything else you want to add and tell the people.
Nothing else I can think of.
Yeah, I've talked to you long enough. I'll hopefully see you at the Arnold, and
Oh yeah.
if if anyone wants to follow your ramblings or your upcoming shows, what's the best way to do it?
Facebook. I definitely do a lot of promoting of my shows on Facebook, and yeah, if they want to hear my bizarre stuff on life and my weird observations, follow me on Facebook's the best way.
Yeah, that's Chris Vachio on Facebook, of course. Vachio, and isn't there an Ohio Strongman website?
There is. It's just the lazy bastard that runs it needs to that which would be me
Put some
needs to
stuff up
update
on
it.
there.
Yeah, yeah. I've I have not been good about keeping that up to date. I need to get off my ass and do it, but you know.
So if you want to know what happened in Ohio Strongman in
Yeah.
2013, you can go to ohiostrongman.com.
Or it's .org. Yeah.
.org. Sorry.
ohiostrongman.org. Yeah.
There we go.
Actually, I'm not quite that far out of date. I think I'm into 2015 on it.
Getting close.
But yeah, I was keeping up on it for a while there, and then just like had life happen.
Yeah,
Yeah.
especially when these things are hobbies, it's kind of it's a pain, and I even though this is a business for me, I go through spurts where I do less updating than
Yeah.
I got enough stuff to do.
Yeah, well, I mean, it's like you have job and family and stuff like that. Now, I don't. I mean, you don't have kids, but you have a a mini horse and a dog,
Sure.
and I'm sure you're going to have them in softball and sports and things soon.
Yeah,
So,
I've been talking to Domino if he's not too sure if he wants to play football or not because the whole brain thing, and he already has a small head. So,
good point. Yeah.
but I'm not sure. I'll support him in whatever he wants to do. If it's dance and theater, then that's
Well,
fine. But
I hear the Cleveland Browns need a quarterback, and he's probably going to be a step up.
oh yeah, he'd do great. He'd do great. He and he likes the snow, so
Oh yeah.
yeah. I think
But yeah, I mean, yeah, that's just yeah. It seems like life and family and stuff just kind of happens. So, like you said, it's a hobby for the most part. So
mhm.
yeah, I definitely do need to carve out some time and stop dicking around and update my site. But I'll get to it.
Well, what happened was I talked to the competitor Brad Baldwin on here, and then he's like, "Oh, my site's gonna be up soon," and then he's like, "Shit, I better do that before it goes up." So then he thanked me that he actually did create BradBaldwinFitness.com, which he's been putting off for he said months before that. Which he's been putting out some good articles there as well if anyone's listening. But yeah, appreciate you coming on, Chris. Good luck, and if anyone, just Chris Vachio on Facebook, and is it Chris.Vachio on Instagram? I don't know if you use it too much. Something like that.
It's actually just Vachio on Instagram.
Vachio.
Yep.
There we go.
Yeah, I was the only. I think I was like the first Vachio on there. I mean, it's not like the U.S. is overrun with them. So I seem to have been the first one, so I got the jump on the last name.
I couldn't even get Kalle Beck. It was already on. How did that happen? But yeah, good on you for that, and
Yeah.
appreciate.
Should have gone with fucking Kale Beck, like we talked.
I
Fucking
should
Kale Beck.
I should change it. Yeah, you have to thank for that and the two T-shirts of it I sold. Sometimes I just put these out there because I think it's funny just to announce the design, not to actually have any intent on anyone actually buying them. But yeah, I think that'd be a funny backstory to get into real quick before we go. Is how did the term "fucking Kale Beck" come? It came from you,
Yeah, I
kind of.
there were well, yeah, as you get blamed for credit for things. It's almost like you're the president or at least the quarterback or something. You get I can't remember what it was, but it was I'd heard it in a couple of different times, but where something happened with relation to strongman and they didn't like it. I think part of it was that the strongman fitness. I think
Oh
the
yeah,
strong
yeah.
the strongman fitness name was the first one that
It
I
was
had
my
heard of it.
fault.
That was your fault. Even though Mike Johnston's the one that coined the name,
I know.
somehow that still became. They were like, can you believe they call it strongman? Fucking Kale Beck. Yeah, I mean that was the first time I heard it.
You know,
Was,
it's
yeah, yeah,
the in this that just there doesn't need to be any more examples from this because it's the
well,
funniest one because even though there's plenty, but with that is well, right when I saw that was happening, I'm like, okay, this is going to be a relatively new weight class. There's not going to be a lot of competition in it yet. I think I could do pretty good. Like that's before like the real athletes show up. I'm like, okay, I got like a 2 or 3 year window. I hate the name. I didn't understand it from the jump, and I had a talk with Dion about it, and then she's like, "So what should it be called?" I'm like, "Lightweight, obviously." Then it's lightweight,
yeah,
middleweight, heavyweight, and that was, you know, part to do why it was actually not called Strongman Fitness anymore. Is
yeah,
the funniest part. So I actually
yeah.
had
No, that was yeah. I'd actually overheard that conversation at a contest. Where somebody's like, yeah, call it strongman, fucking Kale Beck.
yeah calling it. Why should there be Strongman Fitness? That if you're 175 pounds, then you're not a strongman. All those things. Yeah, I've heard that stuff. But yeah,
Yeah, I'd heard the same. I'd heard the same thing in relation to a couple other things that somehow you were responsible for, and so after like the third time I heard fucking Kale Beck. I'm like, okay, figured
uh,
to go ahead and clue you in on all the things you were responsible for in strongman that you had no idea about, or
I mean,
that you had no idea that you were responsible for.
yeah, and a lot of the time have the exact opposite stance on. I always find funny. I'm like, yeah, I agree with you. Yeah.
Well, one of them was one of the events at nationals that it was like a hated event at nationals, and somebody was like, "Fucking Kale Beck came up with that."
Yeah,
I'm
no,
sure.
it was probably I invented the stone of steel too. I'm sure.
Yeah, I haven't heard anybody say that exactly, but I'll keep my ears peeled for that one.
Uh, Even though that um, literally killed tacky sales on my website, so I would have no interest.
Yeah, well, it's all part of your conspiracy to kill tacky sales on your site, right?
Yeah, yeah, that makes a lot of sense.
Yeah,
I was very happy with the $2 I kept making, so because there's a lot of money in the tacky business. There's huge
yeah,
incentives with it, but
yeah. You can buy that island now that you're selling tacky.
yeah, yeah, I'm on it. But yeah, it's I think it's funny, but I guess I should be flattered that people give me credit for things when I have at the end of the day I have very little influence on most any of
Yeah,
these decisions at all.
yeah,
So,
right,
no.
yeah. See,
If people perceive that I do, then that's a good thing. But
yeah, yeah. See, if only you knew you were responsible for all that stuff.
yeah, yeah, it's like the lizard people are running strongman. I guess it's like the
Yeah.
secret society that's
Oh yeah.
controlling
Oh
the thing.
gosh, yeah. Yeah, the Wessel's steroid cartel,
Oh, there
as
is
as Al
actually that
Thompson.
there is
Yeah,
actually
yeah.
that conspiracy.
Oh yeah,
Yeah,
yeah.
I
It's a
forgot.
good old Al. Yeah,
Yeah.
sent out a bunch of emails about that.
Oh God. Now you're gonna get strong talk included on those next runs. So thanks for that.
Sorry about that.
Oh, it's
No,
okay.
so you can have your own steroid cartel and conspiracy thing going.
I'm
Yeah.
gonna look into it. I'm gonna look into it. I've been thinking of what moves I want to make with the podcast and starting strongman in the new year. And a steroid cartel sounds good.
Yeah.
Weed's legal now, so you got to get
Hey,
out of
there you
that
go.
business.
Yeah.
Once
No
something's
money in it
legal,
now that it's
yeah,
legal.
no, of course. So yeah, I don't see that coming anytime soon. With that being so, yeah, I'm gonna look into that. Appreciate it, Chris.
You can have the official starting strongman D ball available soon.
Yeah, you heard it here first. So stay tuned to that. Sign up for the newsletter. You'll be the first to hear about it. I'll have some promo codes for all the people that listen, and I appreciate it. So, so
D ball 50 for 50% off your first order.
yep, there we go. Oh, thanks for coming on and
Yeah,
giving me all these great business ideas and some okay ideas on some tips to run contests and all that good stuff you're doing with helping the adaptive athletes have a place to compete. I think's awesome, and enjoy the rest of your day and your holidays, and thanks for all the strong people out there for listening. See you next week.